Every now and then, something comes along that is so utterly tasteless, despicable, and classless it warrants a response. After the events of September 11th, a few people took it upon themselves to declare it a conspiracy. I'm okay with this. They argue that there were bombs in the buildings and that everyone from the fire department all the way to the White House is involved. I'm okay with this too. They debate about thermite, nanothermite, pods on planes, and no planes at all. I say let them do it. But when a disrespectful ass clown by the net handle Hoi Polloi put out a report saying the victims of 9/11 were fake and no one died that day, suddenly I become an advocate of retroactive abortion. The document in question is an 80-page long PDF file entitled 9/11, the VicSim report, and at the top of it, it instructs you to print it out and distribute widely. I'm going to say there are only two reasons you should do this. One, if you need something to start a grill with, and the other being if you ever run out of toilet paper. And don't worry about the idea that you might be missing out on some helpful information, because you're not. I'd say the only thing you would be missing out on is however long it takes you to read 80 pages of single-spaced bullshit. I broke the report up into 3 sections after I got through with the first 5 pages, which after reading numerous times still didn't make a fucking lick of sense to me. The most I could make out of it was comparing 9/11 to the 1938 War on the World's news broadcast. He uses phrases like allegedly murdered and calls the hijackers simulated madmen, or SimMads for short. It only gets weirder from there. The first part had to deal with the CNN memorial page. The first red flag presented by the author of this atrocity seems to take note of the number of victims with pictures listed. Only 1,736 victims have a picture, and 1,192 have a remembrance candle. The author's take on the lack of everyone having a picture on the CNN site: omission due to embarrassment. It even suggests that the pictures weren't patriotic enough and even pokes fun at one victim's portrait, but more on that later. So what was a lack of pictures supposed to prove? Who the fuck knows? Next up, this waste of shit plays the name game. It starts off this section with people with the same name, oddly connected with being killed in the same tragedy. To me, this pile of mental vomit wants me to believe that this is a sham, like no one with similar names has ever died in the same manner before. You know how many people named John died in the Titanic sinking? 100. But because 2 people named Daniel were on American Airlines Flight 11, well, that's just goddamn convenient, ain't it? It then goes on to suggest that the names were made up using current celebrities like Robert Downey Jr., Cuba Gooding Jr., and Hugh Jackman, who starred in X-Men, a group led by Charles Xavier, who showed up in the victims list too. But mostly this list focuses on people who had, get this, the same letters in their names. The English alphabet only has 26 letters to begin with. What the fuck were you expecting? 200 people running around with that symbol Prince changed his name to? On a side note, that spineless monkey who concocted this bile then goes along with witty retorts to messages left by people on the CNN page. This soulless whore calls one victim a patched-eyed pirate and calls a message left from a mother to her son a seminal example of fear-based leadership. To Hoy, I say the following with every fiber in my heart. And if you're not offended yet, you're not paying attention. The worst is yet to come. Earlier I mentioned that steaming anal blister Hoy making fun of victims' pictures. I'm just going to show them to you because I think I've done enough swearing for one video. And what's worse than that is this human donkey dick trying to pass off the photos themselves as being fake. Watch this idiot try to prove their point by showing facial similarities between victims and then trying to explain why that counts as photoshopped.
The whistles got woo!
They had to be faked. All these people's eyes and nose all fit in this box. And not even children are safe. Check this shit out. And after a flow chart that shows something, we get superimposed pics showing people that looked alike in similar poses as more proof. May I remind you, this is the same group of people that claimed the Harley guy was actor Mark Humphrey and made their point by showing a picture of Chris Kattan. That probably explains why we get more celebrity lookalike photos. Some people just never learn. In conclusion, there is no science in this report. Nothing to suggest the creator of this report was under the influence of anything but mind-altering recreational drugs when they wrote this, and in reality a backhand to everyone who suffered that day. And for everyone who believes this bullshit, in addition to not having a clue as to what happened on 9/11, they are also devoid of anything resembling respect. Get a fucking life, people.